Hi guys, I'm Kasha and welcome to our coffee times. Today, not to talk about horror in particular, but about the future generation of horror fans. As you have seen in the title and in the thumbnail, I am indeed pregnant. And I've been waiting such a long time to tell you guys that it feels like it's been forever. I have tried my best to keep it a secret because I just wanted to wait until everything was, secured, established, baby's doing fine. So I'm just here to tell you my story because I've been through a lot in order to get pregnant, and I thought I would share my story because some other people might have been through something similar, some people might be going through it right now, and I always found comfort in watching other people's videos, so I thought why not tell you guys my story, even though it's not horror, book, or movie related, but for all of you that are interested, here's my story. I don't want this video to be 3 hours long, so I'm just going to quickly go through my journey and let you know how we got here to being pregnant. The decision to have kids came late in life. I think it's because I never had partners that I could see myself having children with until my partner that I have at the moment. And so when we moved in together, we had a house, we had stable jobs, stable income, and I think I felt I was ready at that time because I had all the security that I wanted for a newborn, and I decided, okay, it's time now to have kids. However, I knew that I was old. I mean, not old, but you understand when you are younger, your chances of conceiving, especially naturally, are higher than as you get older, because the older you get, the older your eggs get with you. So I knew that possibly it was not going to happen right away, but I wanted to give it my best chance. So as the Virgo that I am, I did a lot of research on what to do, how to get pregnant quickly, and I was locking in all of those videos, taking notes, making sure that I was doing everything in my power. This was September 2022, and by November 2022, I got a positive pregnancy test, and we were shocked. Like, how did this happen so quickly? Because normally people tell you, the older you get, the more time you need to get pregnant. And I was expecting it would take me at least a year to get pregnant, especially naturally. So we were not in a rush or anything, but it happened very quickly. It was a shock, but we were still excited about the news. In that first pregnancy, I went to the gynecologist at 6 weeks and 2 days, and they confirmed the pregnancy. Baby was at the right spot, baby had a heartbeat, so everything was going well. Then I returned for my 8-week scan, and unfortunately they told me that the baby no longer had a heartbeat and it had stopped beating at around 7 weeks, 4 or 5 days. And what I had was what it's called a missed miscarriage. A missed miscarriage is where your body doesn't know that the baby has passed and the baby is still in your womb, but your body doesn't know that it's time to let the baby go. So you can miscarry naturally by just bleeding, and other times your body doesn't recognize very quickly that there's something wrong with the embryo, and your pregnancy keeps going as if nothing's happening until your body realizes that the embryo sadly has passed away. And so that's what I had, a missed miscarriage. They gave me several options: to wait naturally to pass the miscarriage, to take some pills, or to get a D&C done. So I decided to wait naturally. The miscarriage was probably the hardest thing I had to do mentally, but also physically. The pain was really strong. I had contractions basically because your body at some point realizes that the pregnancy has stopped and your body needs to get it out of your system. So it's basically contractions like birth, because your uterus contracts to get the baby out. And I was in so much pain, and also psychologically it's really hard because you're losing your baby, you have been carrying your baby inside but was no longer alive, so you're kind of in a really weird mental state, and then you start bleeding and it's like a lot of blood. It's very intense. I don't want to go into specifics but if you know somebody or you've had it yourself, you know how horrible it is mentally and physically. And I don't think I was aware at the time of how hard it was, because I still kept working. I kept doing YouTube as best as I could. I was not in a really good, happy mood, but I tried to be my very best. Also, when you have such an early miscarriage, people normally don't know that you were even pregnant. My parents knew, my best friends knew, and that was kind of it. Of course, my partner, but I hadn't told anybody. It was still very early. And, you know, it's sad because you go through this kind of early losses all by yourself most of the time. So it was really hard physically and psychologically, but I decided to give myself a little bit of time, and then we were just going to, you know, try again to get pregnant. And this miscarriage happened in January 2023, and I was really in a bad space that month. I think you can tell if you go back to my videos of that time. That January, February, I was just a mess. But I was trying my best to put up a happy face and just keep giving you guys content. I was not getting pregnant, obviously, so months were passing. We were doing the same things we were doing the first time, and I was still not getting pregnant, so I started to worry a little bit. So I went to the doctor, and this is a doctor that I hated, and luckily I've already been able to change doctors, which is not as easy as you would think. This guy was the worst, like, general doctor that I have ever encountered. He had no compassion. He disregarded my feelings, and when I told him, you know, I want to go to the fertility clinic, he said, well, if you got pregnant once, you can get pregnant again. And I was like, sir, this is not how it works. Trust me, I've done my research, and at my age, if you don't get pregnant naturally in 6 months, you should go to a fertility clinic. And it has been almost a year now since my miscarriage, so I want to go to the fertility clinic. Thank you. So he ended up referring me to the fertility clinic here in the Netherlands. I went, and it takes a little bit of time, you know, it takes weeks to get appointments, so it's a little bit annoying. And in the end, I went through one IVF cycle that unfortunately failed. We did get some eggs, we did try to fertilize them, but we didn't get any proper embryo, so unfortunately, that was a failed IVF cycle. And here in the Netherlands, they basically told me, well, at your age and with the results of this IVF cycle, we don't know if it's even worth it to try another cycle. And I was like, great, thanks. So I decided that I was going to do everything in my power to make this pregnancy happen, because I didn't want to kind of regret it in the future when I was really too old to conceive and to have children. I didn't want to regret that I didn't try everything that I could. So someone that I know went to a private fertility clinic in Spain that is very well known. People from a lot of countries go there because they detect problems, they let you know why you can't get pregnant, they fix it, and they help you get pregnant. The thing is, with these fertility clinics that are covered by regular insurance, normally they don't really do a big study on your case. They just do the same for everybody. They don't really take a look at everything that's going on inside of your uterus. They don't take a look at the whole picture. They kind of do the same plan for everybody, and that's why I think some people are struggling to get pregnant. Doesn't have to be everybody, obviously, but I think, you know, in these kind of things, you need a more personalized approach, because every single body, every single uterus is completely different. So I knew this private clinic was going to be very expensive, but like I said, I was determined to make this happen, and I didn't want to regret anything later. So we made an appointment. I went there, and lucky for me, because it's in Spain, I could stay at my parents', so I didn't have to pay hotels or anything like that. So I went to the clinic, and the moment they saw me and the moment they saw my uterus, they said, you're not getting pregnant because after you had the miscarriage, a miscarriage is a trauma to your uterus, and some people, you know, their uterus change after a miscarriage, and it turns kind of in like a more hostile environment for the embryos, and they don't implant. So they gave me a plan. They said, okay, we're gonna do surgery in your uterus, we're gonna clean up the area, we're gonna make it like the best possible environment for embryos, then we're going to get embryos, and we are going to put the best one that we can find, and you know, it should work. And I was like, all right, let's do it. You know, I was scared to death because if you don't know this about me, one of the things I'm the most scared of in life, it's anesthesia. It's not really surgery per se, it's the anesthesia part. The thought of being somewhere lying there unconscious, it scares me. It's very creepy, it's very scary. You never know how your body's gonna react to anesthesia, especially because I had never been through that before. So that part really scared me, but I was willing to do it to overcome one of my biggest fears, to get pregnant. So that tells you how much I wanted this. So by the time I went to this clinic, it was September 2024, and I ended up having my surgery in November 2024. And after the surgery, I had to recover because that is a surgery that is done to your uterus. So of course you bleed for a couple weeks just as a recovery, but the surgery went super fast. It was only like 47 minutes of surgery. I was out of there super quickly, had no issues whatsoever. So I recovered quickly and I was cleared for trying to get pregnant. So they told me that they managed to get 6 perfect embryos, which is a great amount of embryos, and they were all graded AA, AB, which is like the best you can get. So I was really excited that we had beautiful embryos, but then I started to wonder, what if the embryos are perfect but I don't get pregnant? You know, all of these fears are always coming back. You start to doubt your body, you start to doubt your ability to get pregnant and to carry out a pregnancy, and it's really scary when it's something you really want and you think your body is deceiving you. So in February I went back to Spain, and the doctor saw me at the private clinic and they said that that was not a good cycle for me because my uterus was not looking its best. Because they are looking also for your best cycle to maximize the possibility of the embryo implanting. Also, my endometrium was very thin, which is something that I have, and they were hoping to find a better cycle, so they sent me back home. And I felt a little bit defeated because I felt, okay, I had the surgery, I have my embryos, but what if my body is not going to be able to make this happen for me? So it psychologically is really hard. So I went online and tried to find ways to help my endometrium and I tried every single thing that I could find online. I have to say that also the period that I had in February was very weird and very unusual for me, so I don't know if that had something to do with it, because the next period that I had in March was very good, very, let's say, heavy and bloody. Sorry for all of the description of bodily fluids. So I flew back to Spain in March. The clinic saw me again and they said, okay, the uterus looks really good, looks perfect. The endometrium is still a little bit thin, which is something that I have. My endometrium is thin, which is not the best if you want to get pregnant, but they were confident that I was gonna get pregnant because I got pregnant naturally before and the uterus was looking really good. So they were confident that the endometrium was not a factor to say you cannot get pregnant with this endometrium, because I got pregnant before naturally with the same endometrium. So they were confident and they went ahead with the embryo transfer. I had the transfer, I think, on the 24th, 25th of March, and it was very exciting. It's very kind of scary because they just throw the embryo in there and you're just hoping for the best, and all you can do after that is wait. So after the embryo transfer you have to wait 10 days to take a pregnancy test, and honestly I had 0 symptoms, so I was convinced that it had not worked. And I was so convinced that I woke up that morning and I told my partner, I just want to take this test to confirm that I'm not pregnant, and then I can call the clinic and see what's the next step, what we can do. And I took the pregnancy test and it was positive, and I was shocked. I did not expect it because it was also the first embryo, and I'm like, what's happening? So my body accepted the embryo implanted, it's been chilling in there, it's been growing great. So that was that was a really big surprise for me. I didn't expect it to work so quickly, but then this clinic has very good reputation, and it's fair to say the reputation precedes them because they have a very high successful rate of pregnancies, and they do treat a lot of women with so many different problems to get pregnant, and they do give you a personalized solution for your case, and they do everything in their power to get you pregnant. They do blood tests, they check everything inside, they do all kind of tests. Some of them are painful, but you know, I had to go through surgery, but at the end of the day, I am pregnant. So this is going to be our rainbow baby. I always say this is my second baby because I don't want to forget the first baby. For me, it's still my first baby. And I have a picture of the baby as well. Thankfully, I went to that first 6 weeks and 2 days ultrasound where I could hear the heartbeat and I could see the baby and I could get a picture. So I would still always have that. So fast forward to now, August 2025. And the pregnancy is going well. I've had many ultrasounds. I had 2 of the big checks done, and I had blood tests drawn. There is no detected chromosomal abnormality on the baby. Both of the big scans where they really look at every single organ and every little bit of the baby, both were normal. The last big scan we had was at 20 weeks, and they looked at the inside of the brain of the baby, the inside of the heart, they counted fingers, they checked absolutely everything, the kidneys, they measure everything, and everything was fine. Baby was measuring good, all the organs were working. So I'm really happy that baby is healthy, and as of now I am 22 weeks pregnant. I wanted to do this video a little bit earlier, but I kept postponing it, and yeah, it's taking a little bit longer. It's also kind of why my channel had less videos for a couple of months, because I was so tired. I was exhausted. The first trimester was not kind on me. I had a lot of stomach ache. It doesn't matter what I ate, a stomach ache all the time, every day, and I was very, very tired, especially right after lunch. I was basically just comatose for the rest of the day, so I struggled to get the motivation to do content because I was just exhausted. And I still had to do my regular jobs because I have to pay the bills, so that drained all my energy and I couldn't even focus on that. Like, I had trouble to focus. It was almost impossible during the first trimester. I think from week 8 to 17 that was the worst, and after that it started to get better. And now I have more energy. Now I'm a bit more focused, so I have been able to keep up a little bit with the content. So yeah, I couldn't tell you why I was so slow with content, but that is the reason why. I was busy building a baby. I'm sure you guys want to see if I have a bump or not, and I do, because I'm already 22 weeks pregnant, and I was also not the thinnest person, you know, when I got pregnant, so I do have a bump. Let me show it to you. Let me see if I can. So here's the bump. I'm kind of bloated. It starts here on the top, so that's how you know it is a pregnancy belly, but baby is doing well in there. We did find out the gender of the baby, and we were wrong. Because I was sick all the time. We thought it was a girl, but it's actually a boy, and he made it very clear in the scan that he was a boy. He let us see everything. He's like, "Hey mom, here's my stuff. I'm gonna show you I'm a boy." So that was very funny. And yeah, I have started to feel the baby at around week 20. I think when week 20 started, I started to feel the baby, and like, I knew for sure it was the baby. Before, I was not sure what was going on, but week 20 was clear to me that was the baby moving. It's still very inconsistent, like I don't feel him all day all the time, but I will feel him every single day at some point of the day, which gives me a reassurance that baby is doing fine. I do have a posterior placenta, which means you are more likely to feel more and earlier. If you have an anterior placenta on the front, it means that there is kind of like a cushion between you and the baby, so basically you feel it less. I'm really glad that I have a posterior placenta and I can feel the baby more, because it is a big reassurance every day to know that baby is fine. And as somebody that was very paranoid with this pregnancy, especially having a missed miscarriage, it was really hard for me to be confident. Like every time I would go to the midwives for an appointment, I was scared because I've had a bad experience, obviously, and the first pregnancy, I don't think I was even scared going to the midwives. I was not expecting bad news. I did not even consider miscarriage, simply because I was not bleeding. So I was just shocked when they gave me the news. And I think this time around, because I had that experience, it's been psychologically a little bit harder for me, but I have tried to focus on doing things that I like and focus on thinking about other things and just trust my body, which is really hard after you've had a miscarriage. But we made it. We're at week 22. Everything is looking fine. So I just hope that, you know, everything continues like this. Baby boy keeps healthy, and that's the most important part. So this was my big announcement and this was my journey, and I wanted to be very transparent about my whole story, because I know a lot of people have been through similar things, and I don't think we talk about miscarriages enough. I think we kind of keep it always a secret when we get pregnant, when you see that first positive test, because you know that something bad can happen, and it's really scary to tell the world to then have to give bad news. But I see more people in social media sharing miscarriages, and it is important because it helps others that are going through it to see that they're not alone. I think, funny enough, miscarriage and pregnancy both are very isolating experiences, because you are kind of doing this all alone. Obviously you have friends and family and you have your partner, but it's your body, and it can be so isolating in a way. So I think it's good to talk about these things as well. This time around, I still told my parents and my best friends right away, right after I got the positive test. I waited to tell more family members at around week 13, 14, when I had my first anatomy scan, and a lot of, you know, chromosomal things were all discarded, and I knew the baby was fine. And so after that, I've slowly been telling people here and there, but I wanted to make an announcement video on this channel because obviously this is going to change my life. It's probably going to affect the channel for the first couple of months when the baby is here, and after that I plan to return to regular content. Maybe at the beginning I can only do one video per week, but I'm still going to keep the channel and keep uploading. It's just probably after the baby is born I might need 2 months or so, 2-3 months to come back because I'm gonna be recovering and probably not sleeping, but just wanted to let you guys know. And I do plan to still upload things on Instagram. I have been very quiet on Instagram, mostly because, like I said, the first trimester was not good on me. So I have been struggling to keep up with work and other things. But now that I'm feeling better, I plan to go back to Instagram to do a lot more reels and posts and stories and things. So I'm gonna be back there. I'm gonna announce my pregnancy there probably a couple of days after this video goes up, so that everybody else also knows over there. And yeah, so that was kind of my big secret that I have been keeping for months now. And I'm gonna be very happy when this video is up and then everybody knows, because it's always so hard when you are withdrawing information from people that you want to tell, because obviously I want to tell you guys and share the good news after all the struggle to get here. And also hopefully this video was something that, you know, has helped some people that are going through something similar, or people that have been through something like this and they see they're not alone. Because like I said, I watched a lot of videos of people going through IVF, infertility, about miscarriages, and they did help me because it made me feel like I was not the only one. Alright you guys, so hope you enjoyed this very different video on my channel. Thank you guys, as always, so much for your support, and I will see you back here on our next coffee time. Bye!